Irish dancing is a vitally important part of our culture for Irish people worldwide, no matter where we are. We are simply a nation of people who love to sing and we love to dance. The merry love to sing and the merry love to dance.
With the company, they go on stage and they're so enthralled at being on the stage with an audience responding to them that the minds are exploding constantly. After the show is over, I want the audience to go out on a high, jigging around on the street outside, whistling the music or singing the music and all that sort of stuff, and dancing all the way home, which indeed I think they do.
Where other children might have heard fairy stories or lullabies, we always heard them talk of dancing in our house.
And so it brings out a wonderful bond in Irish people, no matter where they are around the world. It doesn't have to be St. Patrick's Day to do that.
Irish dancing is something, it's a very exciting art form. It's like a fever. When it gets in your blood, it takes over your whole life if you're very interested. It monopolizes your timetable, whether as a spectator, as a parent, teacher, or a participant. The chief, I suppose, requisite for a good Irish dancer, they must have music in their soul and in their mind and in their head. You must have a rhythm.
In Irish dancing, we use our feet and we literally beat out a rhythm, and that touches the soul in every one of us, I think.
It's three types of rhythms: reel rhythm, jig rhythm, and hornpipe rhythm. I'll now show you the reel rhythm. Okay, that's R-E-E-L. And okay, and now I will show you the jig rhythm. Jig rhythm. And now I'll show you the hornpipe rhythm. Very basic.
If a good dancer is on stage and there's no music, you should be able to tell what dance he is performing by the rhythm. You should know by his steps and by his rhythm, if he is a good dancer, what dance he is doing, even if there is no music. But of course, music is very important.
Irish dances are sometimes very serious looking because it is the most intricate form of footwork ever seen in any country, anywhere in the world, and almost certainly at any stage in history of the human race. I mean, Michael Flatley has entered the Guinness Book of Records as 28 beats a second. He is the fastest beat ever recorded in the world. The concentration of footwork and the beats and the use of the ankles, the heels and that is what makes Irish dancing what it is today so unique.
The great ones have poise, good deportment, which is very important, and they can make very intricate things look simple, and very simple things look intricate and stylish.
A question I'm often asked is, when did the Irish start to dance? And really, I mean, the answer to that is, when did the Irish race begin? You know, you can't really say when anybody started dancing, because dancing is as old as human beings themselves, you know.
Some people think that the hard tap came from clog dancing in England, the north of England. Others think that the hard tap dancing was introduced into Ireland by the sailors who traded the ships that came in from the traders from the North Africa and Spain and Andalusian countries.
Irish folk dancing really is the dancing of the people, and it really takes on two forms, both solo dancing and group dancing. The solo dancing and the footwork dancing that one would associate nowadays with Michael Flatley, Jean Butler, Lord of the Dance, Riverdance, that form of dancing, which I'm going to refer to in general as solo dancing, that is really of relatively recent origin. That is about 200 years old, approximately, in origin. The figure dancing, the group dancing, we can trace references to that back to about 1549, but undoubtedly it must go back much further than that.
Going back to even the 16th century, there is a reference to an audience that Queen Elizabeth II had with an Irish chieftain, female chieftain, Chieftain S, although she didn't like the S, a chieftain called Granuaile or Grace O'Malley, who traded from Connaught all over Europe. And there's reference in these annals of Queen Elizabeth that when this woman had an audience with Queen Elizabeth II, she had a couple of dozen henchmen with her, and that they danced up the court room to where she was sitting on this throne, and they danced some Irish dance rhythm, and her remark was that their Spanish origins are obvious, you see. That was her remark as they approached her. So even as far back as that, you know, the idea that the Spanish influence on Irish dance was there.
A lot of the literature under Elizabethan times was destroyed. So in the remaining literature we cannot really find any references. However, to think that a people so jovial as the Irish, who really know how to live it up and enjoy things, to think that they never dance would just, you know, be inconceivable. One of the important aspects of Irish dancing is that the concentration is on the footwork, not little or nothing on the hand movements, on the footwork. And therefore the shoes are vitally important because it is the beating or the tapping that is the important thing in the heavy dancing in Irish dancing. So the shoe, as you can see, it's not just a shoe, it is the dancer's instrument. The feet and the shoe are our instruments, the tools of our trade. If you go back again a little bit in our history, say to the start of the 20th century, the people did not wear special shoes. They wore their ordinary walking out shoes, or their good Sunday shoes. As we use the expression here, their good Sunday going to mass shoes. Those were the days when leather sole shoes were good leather. The leather like was, you know, a half an inch or quarter of an inch good thick leather. Nowadays a pair of leather shoes is not the same thing at all. The leather is paper thin. So they had good strong shoes that they were able to get a good beat out in. As the leather in the shoes sort of got thinner and thinner, they had to sort of augment this. In my time, say around the 1950s, what we did was we started to put additional toe piece onto the shoe. Now, I must emphasize, Irish dancers are not allowed to wear taps. They cannot wear the sort of metal tap that we associate with tap dancing shoes. But what we did was we would add a little additional toe piece, and then onto the toe piece we added additional nails, which were flattened out and gave a sort of a little coating to the tip of the shoe. In recent times, the advent of fiberglass has been very, very important, because the shoes with the nails in the tip meant that that was fine if you were dancing on a crude, rough platform. But if you had a nice ballroom surface in a concert hall or something, nobody wanted Irish dancers because they were scratching their floors. So again, science and technology and that, and the fiberglass came along. And so in recent years, most of the shoes have got fiberglass toe pieces. And that allows you to get a nice sound out of the floor. And again, the surface of the floor and the shoe are vitally important to a dancer. In previous times, they had a hollow flag in the kitchen underneath the stone floor. They had one paving stone and there was nothing underneath, there was a hollow. And the dancer danced on that to get better beats. Another little thing in history was we often talk about taking down the half door to dance on the half door. Now the explanation for that was that the floors in the last century were earthen floors and you couldn't get the beats out on the earthen floor. So they would take down the top part of the door and put it on the floor and dance on that to get the beats out. So you see, the Irish have been innovating and inventing and experimenting with shoes and with, you know, their little platforms for hundreds of years. And this old pair of decrepit shoes that I've got here in my hand, they might look like somebody threw them out in a garbage sale or what you call it, your boot sales and that. But to me they're the most precious thing because they're my pair of shoes. They fit my feet. I know the whole balance of the shoe. I know how weighty the toe piece is. I know how strong the heel is. I know how tall the heel is. The use of the heel for sound is very important. And the heel tends to come off the foot. And so many dancers will have gimmicks such as this. This is simply a crude piece of elastic in this case, which is attached to the shoe and which will go through my foot in a loop effect like that around my ankle. So this will sit up here on my ankle and will attach the shoe firmly onto the ankle and prevent it from coming off. You need to be comfortable in your shoes. It's a vitally important thing. So an old broken-in pair of shoes is usually far more precious to a dancer than a brand new pair of shoes. I cannot emphasize how important competition is in Irish dancing. I myself think perhaps it's taken over Irish dancing completely because it's become the be-all and end-all. And I can say that because I've been there. My own dancing teams were world champions and my solo dances were all Ireland, Great Britain champions. And so competition now is what really motivates all the dancers worldwide. I call it a necessary evil. By that I mean that we would not have the standard of dancing that we have today. I think it's fair to say that the Jean Butlers, the Michael Flatleys, the Colin Dunns, all these stars of river dance and Lord of the Dance, we wouldn't have that dancing today were it not for the competitions. Competition in Irish dancing is nothing new. Very often one of the major awards in a big competition was it took the form of a belt. This may have been because in the previous times dancing was largely carried on by men, and women did not compete. It was considered unladylike, ungraceful. So some of the oldest trophies that we have in Irish dancing take the form of a belt.
This belt you see in front of you here is the Thomond belt, and it's one of the most coveted trophies in Irish dancing. And I would also say it's the longest trophy being competed for, going back at least to 1909.
And it is a most magnificent piece of craftsmanship. The basic belt is leather with beautiful filigree Celtic design silver work on it. It also contains 3 panels.
Well, here we have a picture of a traditional male Irish dancer. You'll note the hands on the hips, a fashion that is now coming back, as I understand it, in cabaret. In the centre here you have the mark of the motto, I should say, of the O'Brien clan. It's the Thomond belt, and the O'Brien, or the family of Thomond, O'Briens of Thomond, they were the people also connected with Bunratty Castle, and this is the motto, Love Loiser in Uachtar, which means the upper hand prevails. And the third one here, it's an Irish piper, the Irish piper as an accompanist.
The first person that won it in 1909 was a Limerick lady, Trassa Halpin, and she got her name engraved on the belt, and she set up therefore a tradition which was popular on other trophies, that when you won this trophy, it was perpetual, of course, and that's the beautiful thing about it. It was put up every year. You put your name on the belt and the year you won it. Now the result of this is that we can trace all the winners of that belt from 1909 up to the present day.
The list of names which are engraved, of winners who are engraved on this belt, it's like a who's who from Munster of Irish dancing.
The names were, as was tradition in those days, were usually put on in Irish, in the Gaelic script. So it's a lovely custom of putting your name on a trophy and having that trophy as a perpetual trophy. You have 2 and 3 generations in the same family actually winning that. For example, Unani Rourke, a very famous lady in Irish dancing, from Limerick, she won it, I think, in the 1930s, and then her daughter Anya won the same belt sometime in the mid-1950s.
My mother won this belt in 1930 and 1931. My sister won it in 1954 and 55, and both their names are on this belt. Also, dozens of our pupils have won it, and as I say, it's something of which we're very proud in the Euro School of Dancing.
It's lovely to see all the names down through the years. I myself won it in the mid-1960s.
Well, the current holder of the belt is Michael Donlan of Ennis, County Clare. He is 21 years old. He loves to dance, he lives to dance. He has a great pair of feet, he has good rhythm, and he is a real good looking guy. I'm very proud to have taught him his first step, and in this day and age it's quite a unique achievement for a dancer of his calibre to remain with one dancing class and with one dancing teacher throughout his dancing career. It's quite a unique achievement.
Competition, as we say, is vitally important in Irish dancing at the moment, and going hand in hand with that evolution has been the designing and the evolution of Irish dancing costumes.
Some of them were covered with designs taken from the Book of Kells, with the Celtic colouring. and they have a plique and embroidery, and others had a storyline in theirs from some Celtic story.
If you go back to, say, the start of the 20th century, there wasn't what we would call an Irish dancing costume as such. People performed in their everyday garb, their everyday clothes. Knee breeches was the form of dress that the men wore. The women simply wore their long skirts, very often with a shawl or a cloak over them. We really did not have an identifiable Irish national costume. And so we were looking for something to get away from this picture of the Irish gombeen man with the knee breeches and the women with the cloaks. Gradually, we developed a dancing costume. And it's interesting to note that this sort of development of this dancing costume really only started approximately in the 1920s and 30s. Now, the kilts were introduced as male dancing costumes as late as somewhere approximately in the late 1920s. But the costumes as they exist today are extremely ornate, highly decorative, elaborately covered with embroidery of all colours and a plique material of various colours, very often augmented with rhinestones and glitter stones and things like that.
Every individual can choose their own costume and suggest their own design. We allow the parents that freedom because it's the parents who are paying the piper, literally. These costumes are quite expensive. In team dances we have a team costume or uniform which are not quite so elaborate.
There are little industries around the world supplying the costumes, garment bags for carrying the costumes, the accessories for the hair, and the shoes. I mean, a pair of shoes can cost you 60 or 80 pounds. And so, you know, there's quite a little industry attached to all this Irish dancing around the world. Irish dancing has always been evolving. That's the important thing about it. Competition is tied in with that evolution. It's always been progressing and evolving, and I think that's what has made it so popular today.
Anything, as they say, that's stagnant cannot progress, and you have to leave room for progress as long as they don't deviate too much from the tradition.
Irish dancing will evolve and develop, but it will always have its connection with its roots, and it will always have wonderful memories for me of my folks and my ancestors that went before me that sort of started and continued the Irish dancing. Irish dancing, it is true to say, has never been more popular than it is today. Not just here in Ireland, but right throughout the world.
It's just wonderful to see the Irish dance art form put into a little bit more of a respectable light.
It's more important than ever that we maintain our individuality, and Irish dancing is a great expression of our individuality.
I enjoy the music, expressing yourself with your feet through the music, and just everything put together with the social aspect. It's a wonderful world to be involved in.
One, two, three, go. Hop up, hop back, skip 1, 2, 3. Up and back, skip 1, 2, 3. Up and back, skip 1, 2, 3. Hop out, hop back.
Irish dancing
hop back, 2, 3,
has
4.
spread all around the world,
Again,
and
up and
like
back,
the
skip 1, 2, 3.
The Normans
Up
long
and
ago,
back,
they have
skip
become
1,
more
2,
Irish
3.
than the Irish
Up and
themselves,
back, skip
and
1.
many of them have become better dancers. They're second and third generation Irish than Irish-born children.
My mom was an Irish dancer. Her mother before her was an Irish dancer as well. My grandmother taught my mom to dance. My mom came out here to New York. She started in with a dancing school as well, and she enrolled me in Irish dancing at 5, and we've been going with it ever since. Now it's great for my mom. She sees her granddaughters dancing.
The standard of Irish dancing throughout North America and in Australia is superb.
It is somewhat of a misconception to think that Ireland sort of dominates the world of Irish dancing. We really don't, to the extent we did before in the up to the 1960s, 1970s. We have qualified teachers from Africa to Germany, from Ireland, England, America, Australia, all over the world. In fact, at the moment, in North America, we now have more qualified Irish dancing teachers in North America than we actually have here in Ireland. So they are a very strong force. They are more than 50% of our organisation, and no longer sort of content to be led and said in everything by Ireland. They are now trendsetters as well. For example, if a top world champion from America does a movement and that looks nice, people will imitate that. They won't any longer sort of imitate something just because it comes from Ireland.
There are people from different nationalities coming in and wanting to join because they've seen Irish dancing and they're interested in it and want to see what it's like. So we get a diverse cross-section, I guess, of the community wanting to come and learn.
Scotland, England and Wales have a terrific standard of Irish dancing, and I'm sure they take it for granted because they concentrate on it and they work hard at it, but I always feel proud and a little nostalgic when I'm sitting down maybe in a hall in London or a hall in Edinburgh and looking at a group of children who may have been once in Ireland on their holidays, and they're dancing, performing Irish dancing superbly. And it's a great feeling. It gives me great satisfaction.
We're in the rehearsal room of the Irish Folk Ballet Company, and we meet here twice a week at least. And it is also the base of the Irish Folk Dance Company and the London Irish Youth Theatre. We rehearse here, we produce our shows here, and in fact every bit of inspiration I think comes from the four walls here. We've been here since 1983. We're in the rehearsal of the Irish folk ballet routine, and the number was a real number, and it was choreographed by Lillian Massey, and it is, what would you call it, an update on the traditional reel. What we'd look for in a dancer that we would take into the troupe would be, first of all, of course, the ability to dance, have nice legs, be able to do the business with the feet, and then the bonus is to have a personality and can act a little bit. That is what we need. Good-looking girls, good-looking boys, with enthusiasm that want to go someplace with it. They will obviously have trained to the hilt before they've got there. And then we need to take them out of the world of competition, which would have been their whole life's work, and to put them into the realms of entertainment. And we'd have to teach them projection and how to come across to an audience, and just generally kind of change their focus completely. That's what we look for. That's what we get on with. I think the major value of what we do is that we give dancers who have been training in Irish dance from maybe 4 years old, they get to the age of 17 or 18 and they don't want to go any further. They may not be world champion material, but they may be just a little bit down from that, but great dancers. And they have nowhere to go. If they don't want to teach, they have nowhere to go. They just give up their skill. So what we do is we provide a platform for them to continue to perform and give them a chance to get out and do cabaret work, do shows, do touring shows, and get paid for all of the hard work they put into it all those years. Maybe now they'll start getting some money for it, which is absolutely terrific.
About 4 years ago here in Dublin, not very far from where we are, Ireland was staging the Eurovision Song Contest, which is this peculiar contest for a song, and we have about 30-odd countries in Europe compete in it every year.
Well, my God, the Eurovision Song Contest, you know how boring it is. And you're just sitting there waiting for Ireland to sing or Britain to sing, you know, and you just turn off all the rest. And we said, well, we'll wait and see what they're putting on for the interval this year.
After the songs have been performed, before the voting for the song starts, there's an interval act in whatever country it's been held. And this particular year in Dublin, they put on this show, which we have now come to refer to as River Dance.
And the next thing, this explosion onto the stage happened. And we were absolutely dumbstruck, gobsmacked, and cried. We absolutely cried and everything. And we really felt so proud to be Irish. It just melted our hearts. We were absolutely speechless.
I saw the show that night on the television, and not just myself, but several thousand people in the theatre that night could never ever forget that show. As it came to the end, the dancing, Irish dancing, the footwork, and I'm not taking from the music because the music and singing was superb, the whole crescendo, you could see there was an audience there waiting to stand to its feet to give applause. Now that show, it wasn't just a fluke. That show has gone on to get 12 and 15 minutes standing ovation in London.
It put Irish dancing on the map. It brought us an audience that we've always deserved but never got. And it was because it was at the intermission on the Eurovision and had a wider audience, but it was worthy of it.
Irish dancing has been in a sort of its own cocooned community. Whether it's in America, Australia, whatever, we're sort of a little community behind closed doors. We run our own competitions, etc. And the general public really were not that aware of what had been happening in Irish dancing. And suddenly this show was presented with millions of viewers all across Europe watching the show and throughout the world watching that show that night. And the thing that won that night was not the song, it was the show, the river dance show. And after that it was, hey man, Irish dancing is never going to be the same again.
And there are people coming to dancing classes now who would never have come before the Eurovision intermission of river dance.
I guess it's increasing in the last sort of 12 months to 2 years with the advent of river dance and Lord of the Dance. We're certainly getting more and more people coming in, whether they be 5-year-olds, and there seems to be great interest in older people coming to join, 20 plus, wanting to learn to dance for fitness and for enjoyment.
Like we get calls from people who will say, can you teach us river dance? And we say, hey, you want to learn to dance river dance? And we say, have you ever danced before? And they say, no. In some cases, what age are you? I'm 45. I'm retired, all my children are working, and I am Irish, and I've been living in London all my life, and I'd love to dance river dance. So as a result of all these inquiries, we've actually opened up classes for adults, step dancing classes for adults. Not Cayley dances or the other moving figure dances that have been going on all the time, but step dances, which are the basis, of course, of river dance. And, you know, they may feel that they're dancing river dance when they get into a pair of hard shoes. They may feel, this is what I'm doing. So, more luck to them.
Up, drop, up, first figure down you come. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, keep that loose hand by your side, Deirdre. Into the centre. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, very good, very good. Legs up, up, let her out, let her out. Let her out, swing around, 1.
Irish dancing was taught by travelling dance masters. They travelled the country and stayed in homes of people who were interested, and they got hospitality, bed, board and their meals, and they taught the children of the villages and towns of Ireland. But in the last century, dancers have been more inclined to go to people for workshops or classes.
Okay, Letitia, do you do 2? Put the other leg in front, sweetheart. Now, lift it up, and we'll change. Down, 2. Now, this one goes behind.
The Irish brought with them to this country, to the United States, their culture of dance and music, with such a love that it has gone on for generations and generations. With Irish dancing, from the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries until now going into the 21st century, it evolves. It's an evolving art form.
They say that it really started with the farmers in the hobnail boots dancing on doors or things like that they'd taken down. So I guess it was fairly masculine to start off with, and it's progressed since then, and I guess now it's probably predominantly female dancers that are dancing. And I guess you have the 2 different types of dancing, with the soft shoes or with the hard shoes.
When I was 5 years old, my parents enrolled me in Irish dancing classes, and since that time I've just been in love with it. Had a great time, never stopped. I took my teachers and my adjudicator certificates, and I've been with it, and hopefully we'll keep going.
Oh, I see. We're getting a little stylish, huh?
We have some beginner classes, which do simple steps, novice levels, which get a little more difficult, and then into prize winner and championship level competitions, which are the more difficult steps. great Irish dancer is someone who has a feel for music, first and foremost. Timing and rhythm in Irish dancing is a basic factor, especially in the hard shoe. Another thing would be posture, how they hold themselves. The only thing that should be moving when someone is dancing on their own should be their feet. Just the feet from the hips down. Everything else has to stay still. Great Irish dancer is someone who can execute those steps well and keep in time with the music and have fun. I always say that, have fun with it, because if you don't love Irish dancing, as far as reaching that Ireland goal, you have to have the love in it to be able to practice it as much as what is required to be able to go over there and dance.
The ethos of our dancing class has always been, you must enjoy it. It's good to be good. It's nice to be able to win competitions. It's nice to be on top of the rostrum, first in your competition. But you must enjoy dancing.
I hope the students come away with, first of all, a love of Irish dancing, a sense of accomplishment, something to be proud of. They work hard, and it's nice for them to come in and have fun and know that they're able to do something well. We're practicing for a feis, which is being held here in Orlando. A feis is a day of competition through Irish dance, Irish music, Irish singing, and fun. Social aspect is just as important as the dancing itself. All the kids get together and have a great time with their friends. Parents are all friends, they have a good time, so it's a big day of fun that everyone looks forward to. We work tonight on all the steps they'll be doing. They'll be lining up on a stage with children from other schools around the country, and they'll execute their steps, hopefully the way that we practice them and what I've pointed out to them to work on or make a little better. And they'll do those steps. An adjudicator will be watching them and judging them accordingly. We look for the way they dance with the music, their timing, their rhythm, the execution of the steps, how they hold themselves while they're dancing. Posture is important as well. And all these things put together are what the kids work at every week, and they come to class and show what they've been practicing, and hopefully on Saturday they'll have a great time and maybe win a medal or two. We have competitions throughout the country, and then we hold regional competitions. We have a Midwest region, an Eastern region, Western region, which they all hold their competitions every year, and those competitions qualify dancers to participate in the world competitions, which are held in Ireland every year. And that's something that every child would love to be able to participate in.
Dancers from here at the Irish Club actually compete each year in the Australian Championships, and they're held around in a different state each year. And we've actually had a group of dancers that have competed in the World Championships as well, which is a great experience in Dublin. I think it was 2-3 years ago. So that was fantastic.
The future of Irish dance is absolutely wide open. There is such a tremendous interest in it at the moment that it can go absolutely anywhere. I believe that the shows like Riverdance and Lord of the Dance, they cannot continue forever. And I think they've got to evolve, those kind of shows have got to evolve. And they've got to actually expand into other dance areas. Take for instance, one booking that we have for 1997 is to do a dance show with the gauchos, the Argentinian gauchos. And so that the dancers and the whips and all that sort of thing can mingle. That is where it's going to go. That's where we're going to take it. We're going to go along that road.
I hope the future of Irish dancing will always maintain, it will not go too far from its roots. It will always maintain the grace, beauty, rhythm, and indeed its uniquely Irish appeal, and not go too international or even too European, which sometimes the world has now become so small there's a blend of everything. And I hope it will not lose its general, as I say, zest and enthusiasm.
The future of Irish dancing has never looked better as we come to the end of the 20th century. It is really so popular here in Ireland and worldwide, but I would like us to perhaps put less emphasis on competition. And I think that's what Riverdance and Lord of the Dance and these shows has done for us. It has shown us that there is an alternative to competition and that we mustn't overemphasize the competition aspect of the dancing.
I think it'll grow. It'll probably continue to grow over the next 2 or 3 years. I guess after that time, unless there are more shows coming in, it may die off a little bit. But I think people now will know what Irish dancing is, which is great from our point of view. It's nice for people to know exactly what we're doing when we say we do Irish dancing. Yeah, I guess it's come to a new level and we won't ever lose that. I think we'll be always trying to look at something different, using different types of music and putting different things together to make it interesting for the audience.
Now with the popularity of it, we can possibly do a number of things we couldn't do before, because people are coming to us for collaborations and stuff like that. And we did, our last cabaret, we did numbers with a Spanish dancer, and she actually danced Irish dance with us and we danced Spanish dance with her, and the collaboration was very, very successful. So I think that's where it's got to go. It cannot stay in the form it is at the moment, but I never thought it could, quite frankly. And I think it can move off into dance dramas areas. It can go into theatre, mingled with other stuff. And I think that's the future: collaboration with other media, collaboration with other cultures, but still holding its own. I think that's where it's going to go.
The future of Irish dance, I think, is very exciting at the present time. Given the exposure of Riverdance and the new production of Lord of the Dance, it's just made Irish dancing so much more public. It's in the public eye a lot more. People are more aware of it, they see it, and wonder what it is. And they want to find out more about it. And I think eventually just everyone and anyone, you don't have to be Irish to do Irish dancing.